Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Good to see you all as you tune in. Of course, this is ATYL Live, breaking down all things across all motorsports series, but we really do focus on NASCAR here. Let's be real. We're all NASCAR people here. We're going to talk a little bit about F1 because there are some things that could pertain to NASCAR. It was an interesting-ish race this weekend, but really, again, all eyes were on Gateway. And then, of course, this weekend, an elimination race with Bristol. So we're going to talk all about that. More news topics, especially some rumors coming out about a new playoff format that could be decided next week, potentially. We don't know. But, of course, my name's Taylor Kitchen. Good to see you all tuning in. And then, of course, we got Don Joseph and Buddy Pooley. And let's just get into, oh, wow, what was that? Crazy. It's crazy. Well, shoot. Well, first off, can I address something? Buddy, I just realized, is your shirt Casey Kane?
Yeah, it's a Casey Kane sprint car shirt.
That's incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the number on it?
83, Roth Motorsports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good. I sidetracked there because I was like, Casey Kane. Anywho.
So, I know I joined into the chat like 5 minutes before we went live, and I like how right when we go live, Happy decided
he knows. He knows. He knows. Like, he was nowhere to be found, and all of a sudden.
He's so smart.
Yeah.
We love Happy, though. Anyhow, let's get into Gateway. Because I guess we'll start off. It was a historical win. We won't spend too much time diving into this because you all probably watched the show already from Monday or from Sunday and all that other stuff. But a historical win for Toyota, 200th Cup Series win for them. Denny Hamlin's 59th. I think the interesting thing that came out of this weekend from Denny Hamlin's perspective was his post-race press conference where he was pretty, I guess, adamant on saying the countdown's on. I have 2 more chances to win this race, that race, 2 more chances for a championship. I feel like this is something that he's voiced when he made his contract extension announcement, but now to kind of have that solidified where it's like, I have 2 shots to win the Brickyard. Dom, I don't know how you felt about when you heard those statements, anything that he mentioned after that, but I was like, okay, wow, it's going to be real.
Well, I know, listen, let's just call it what it is. Buddy loved one thing that Denny said in that press conference, and it was saying there's a 3-time champion that there's no way he's better than me if you look at the stats.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. And listen, I'm there. I agree. He's got 3 Daytona 500s. He's got an All-Star. He's got a Coke 600. He's got 3 Southern 500s. All he's missing is Brickyard and the Cup. And just there are some guys, Mark Martin, of course, is the easiest one to point out. Like, there are guys that have found different ways to lose it rather than win it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. But back onto the topic. We knew it was coming. I mean, he's 44. We know his exit is closing in, but it's always like, dang it. All right, the countdown's on. That's unfortunate. Yeah. That's sad. But I also feel like just how Denny operates, I feel like he put that out there, not just so the public knew, but it's solidified in his own mind. Like, these are my last 2 chances, and just voicing stuff like that is what motivates him. And just he loves to give himself a reason to race even harder than he was already going to race. Obviously, like, he plays into the crowd not liking him. He uses that as fuel. He uses his fans that cheer for him as fuel. He uses the team that he drives for and the team that he works to build up in the future as fuel. And now saying, all right, you know what? I've got 2 more years. I'm making it official, unofficial. Mm-hmm. But now pressure's on. I'm putting even more pressure on myself to do it. And I feel like every time we start to count out Denny in some of these races and some of these kind of when we get to like middle of the season, just bam, there he is, dominates a race. And all right, Denny's back top of the board. Now what? Who's going to stop him?
No, it's good to see him starting off the playoffs strong, obviously. Great start for Toyota altogether with Chase Briscoe winning at Darlington, back-to-back Southern 500 winner. Then you have Denny Hamlin this weekend. Bristol also is a good track for at least Joe Gibbs Racing, obviously you look at the Hendrick cars, but they had a pretty rough weekend to say the least. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we kind of preview Bristol. But for Denny, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, he uses, the booze as fuel. He uses his fans' cheers as fuel. I think when somebody can be dangerous as a competitor is when they just don't care anymore. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I kind of talk about this with Bubba Wallace too, where he was like, I just stopped caring, but in the sense that I was more relaxed. It is what it is. Like you have that mindset where it's like, okay, I have, I'm in the playoffs, or I have 2 more shots at doing this, whatever. Like what will be, right? And I think that's like a dangerous mindset to have because it frees you up. There's no pressure attached. And Denny's just having fun, which I can appreciate. I think the other thing to come out of this too is TV ratings. And buddy, I don't know if you saw the TV ratings, and we can even kind of transform this into a conversation that I know you wanted to bring up with Kevin Harvick's comments and stuff like that. Obviously, this race was on a Sunday, but we're going to have the Bristol race on Saturday. So it kind of brings in the discussion here. But at least let me read the ratings for Gateway. So USA got an 0.82 rating, a 1.525 million viewership for Sunday's race at Worldwide Technology, down from 1.8 million last year for the second race of the playoffs, which was at the Glen. And then you also have, if you look at Gateway last summer in June of 2024, it's still down from that race as well. It got 2.5 million there. So my thing is it's not super comparable, right? Because Gateway was a different time of year. Last year we had a road course, but still, here's the thought process I have too. A road course in the playoffs got more viewership than your standard oval track in the playoffs. So I guess, buddy, do you think it's like NFL time? People are just sick of NASCAR playoff format fatigue. Like, what do you think? Why viewership was just not there this weekend?
I think we can finally admit that Mike Ford was wrong and that everybody mad about the playoffs, they weren't just bots. Buddy Pulley is not a real person. Buddy Pulley is a real person. I did watch the race, but I think it's playoff fatigue. I think it's fatigue overall, from whether it be the car, whether it be the playoffs, the laundry list of things that we've been voicing our opinions about for the past month. I mean, I think people finally just kind of. I mean, I know someone, good friend of mine, that has watched the sport religiously, had a podcast about it last year, didn't watch because he's just so frustrated with how things have been handled and how just the slow moving process of improving the things that the fans have voiced their displeasure about. So, I mean, look, our biggest markets are here, right here in the Southeast. All of our football teams suck down here. So I don't know. Hard to believe. Thanks to Tyler in the chat for reminding me that.
Yeah. As a Panthers fan, being from Ohio, I like the Bengals and the Browns, but I'd like to root for the Panthers, and it's very, very hard to do so when they suck. Dom,
if I may, to interject into this,
please do.
In terms of what else is going on and whatnot. And I mean, this is something I've dealt with for my whole life, but I'm probably not going to watch much of the night race because Ohio State plays Saturday night. And there's probably a lot of fans. If there is a playoff elimination race Saturday night at Bristol, but LSU and Florida are playing to be number 1 in the country, I can guarantee you 85% of the country is going to be watching that game and not the race.
And it's the round of 16 cutoff. Sorry, I'm being stabbed by my cat right now. It's the round of 16 cutoff race. So it's the 4 guys that most people thought were going to get eliminated are probably going to get eliminated. So what are you going to miss? At a track where the racing has been bad. That's the kindest word I could think of for it.
The last 2 races at Bristol, the winner, which was Larson, led over 400 of the 500 laps. Both.
Yeah.
Right. And so you look at how Bristol's played out in recent years. You also know, I'm going to read some of your guys' comments here because you're all kind of on it. Now, F1 was only 300,000 viewers behind NASCAR. The gap is closing. That's also something to watch out for too. in a season where I don't think Formula One's been that interesting either, but it says something, right? John says it's tough just because with NFL season starting, so we totally get that. Logan, good to see you in the chat as well. Talking about too is people think that the playoffs are a gimmick. It's not going to produce a solid payoff at the end of the year because your champion might not be the guy who dominated most of the year, or at least did well most of the year, right?
Dom's got a great point. Dom's got a great point.
I am not ashamed to admit that.
And here's something else too. You look at Xfinity ratings, and this will kind of play into what we're going to talk about. I see people in the chat, and I want to talk about too, Kevin Harvick's take on things. But Xfinity, the ratings are closing in on Cup ratings. Mm-hmm. What does Xfinity have that Cup doesn't have right now? Aside from the great racing, like him or not, they have a superstar right now.
Yeah.
Cup does not have a superstar right now. And so I think you can look at Xfinity and see almost everything that we're lacking in the Cup series, and the ratings are reflecting it.
And
Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday, and you add to what the Xfinity has, better product, I would say, across the board. You also have them on a stationary platform. It's always going to be CW, maybe the CW app, but it's always CW. There is no having to look for things, right? And I know this goes back to the whole TV discussion and like we should have it all just streaming or all just on NBC, because like having it on USA too, the Cup Series races also kills. Like there's less and less races every single year on the main broadcast, NBC or Fox. We have it on FS1 now or USA, and that sucks. It hurts viewership for sure. That said, though, I think the CW, what they've done for the Xfinity Series has helped. The product that the Xfinity Series has helped. Connor Zilic, whether you like him or not, has helped. He's made headlines for better or worse. I know he talked about this a little bit yesterday, I believe, or earlier today. I don't remember when it was, but for the Xfinity Series playoff media time. But there's kind of so much to dive into that too. But I guess we'll go into this because this kind of goes into some NASCAR news and stuff like that. But Logan brought this up. I know, Buddy, we kind of teed this up a little bit too. But do we agree with Kevin Harvick's take? And I if you guys missed it, basically in the Happy Hour podcast for Kevin Harvick, he basically was like, why do we race on Saturdays? Why do we do it? TV viewership is never kind to it. He basically said he doesn't care how many butts it puts in seats. What matters is the TV ratings. It's what makes it go round, was the quote that he used. My question is, do we agree with that? And I guess, Buddy, do you want to?
So I think it was a terrible take. Don't look behind me. I think it was an awful take from Kevin Harvick. I think there's some bits of it that were phrased in a certain fashion that I think probably he wish he rephrased it. I don't think Kevin Harvick's saying the fans don't matter. I think he's being completely honest as in the fact that racing is business and that the best plan for business is to have good TV ratings and not necessarily. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Words. But man, the Bristol night race is not prestigious because it's not in August and it's in September and it's in the playoffs. Come on, Kevin. Come on. I mean, look, I hate the playoffs as much as the next guy. But good Lord, dude, come on. Like, that was terrible. Being on Sunday afternoon, it doesn't matter. It just, overall, it was just, I don't know where this came from. I did not vote for this.
No, it was a tough take. I'm not going to lie. Like, from the world of short track racing, and Buddy, you can relate to this too, I'm sure. But when I was with Racing America covering short track racing, this is Saturday night, right, Buddy? Like, you know that more than anybody.
This is Saturday night.
When you put a Cup Series race against like some local racing and stuff, I think sometimes it can hurt local racing. And I don't know if that's the place that Kevin Harvick was coming from. And I don't know if he even voiced that when he was kind of making his comments, but like, Saturday night is for short track racing. When you put, NASCAR up against it, it could take some viewers. It could take some butts and seats because they want to watch NASCAR. Not saying the audience is 1-to-1. You'll have a lot of people that will just like short track racing because NASCAR is dead or whatever. but that's something that I think about too, where I'm like, oh man, like Bristol, but also everything that's happening maybe at like Five Flag Speedway or like something like that. So that's another
It's
thought I had, but it's not comparable all the time.
it should. I think Saturday night races should be a very special thing to happen, and they've become a
Yeah,
very special thing. We see it's traditionally for the past 3-4 years, it's only been Daytona in July or August. July has 32 days,
right.
31 days, and then the day of
Sure.
the Daytona race. That race, and then the Bristol night race. And I think that's fine. We can have that. We can suffer a little bit of TV ratings if it means, you know, having those special events on those special nights. Now, I'm not opposed to them being on Sunday night races, but that is going to hurt some of the attendance for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I know I work 9 to 5. I know a lot of people out there work 9 to 5. And if a race is on Sunday night, can't afford to get off on Monday. So I here's another thing Kevin's got a point about though. Butts aren't in seats right now.
That's true.
So we got to, I think somebody said, tire is a determining factor, whether or not he drives 6 hours to Bristol to see a good race or not. And when fans don't think they're going to see a good race, they're not only going to not sit there, but they're also not going to turn off football to go watch NASCAR. So.
Well, and here's the thing with Bristol as well. Bristol is very special with this because the prices for hotel and everything like that around Bristol suck. The prices there are worse than any other track or most any other track on the NASCAR schedule. And when you know you're going to get a subpar product, why spend that money to go to that race? That's the other thing I think about too, is just watch it on TV at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's some dude 77 in the chat has made some pretty good comments. I want to bring them up real quick. Basically the one that pertains to this particular topic right now is Kevin Harvick has a point putting it there, took it from being the Bristol night race to the cutoff race, kind of like moving the Firecracker 400 to the regular season finale, putting the prestige behind it, kind of. I think the other thing too that we kind of talked about too is the dangerous part of people telling people if you don't like it, don't watch, is that they eventually just stop watching. It's really hard to get them back.
Yep.
And that's, I think, part of the problem right now with, some of the fan disappointment in the playoff format, wanting a change, wanting the car to change, not feeling like things are changing quick enough. And then it's like, well, this is what we have. So if you don't like it, bye. And you lose people that way. And I'll say for myself, I don't know, Dom, I mean, obviously you work with NASCAR. So I don't know if you feel the same way though, but
Make his opinion with a grain of salt.
Well, I'm just curious from your perspective too. Like,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Like, are you fatigued at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's no secret. The playoff format is not popular, and I am on the side of I want a 36 race points season. I don't want playoffs. I just want straight points. Go for the championship. Quit looking at me like that. I'm telling the truth.
But Dork Clear told us to get that out of our heads. It's never going to happen.
But
I got something to say about that, Aaron, too.
Originally, I was going to be just super angry about Harvick saying, there's no butts in seats anyway. It's all about the TV money. And I was going to say, all right, well, then tear the stands down if it's all about the TV. But
yeah,
thinking on it, it's like, wait, okay, he actually does have a point, because we can't argue for time and location when we're not selling out.
Right.
If the Bristol night race was a consistent sellout, then you can argue to never touch what time and what day it is. But, there really is, there's no excuse for it, because it has always been the Saturday night Bristol night race.
Yeah.
And we're not selling it out. It's like most of these folks, I know there's a lot that do, most of these folks aren't working the next day. They've got that extra day. My first 2 NASCAR races that I went to as a fan growing up were both Saturday night races, because we could travel on Friday, watch the race Saturday night, and then spend Sunday traveling back home. We didn't have to worry about mom and dad taking off work, me missing school, what have you. It made sense. So I am okay with Saturday night races only if it makes sense. And the ones that make sense, Buddy was spot on. Bristol night race has always been Saturday night. It makes sense. Richmond, I can see the argument. It was Saturday night this year, and it's the play is Saturday night short track.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? And that was a Saturday night race for a good while too. And then the Firecracker 400.
Yeah. And and if anybody out there thinks Kevin Harvick doesn't care about fans being in seats, go watch him get out of the car after he won the COVID race at Darlington. If anybody, he knows what it means to have butts in seats. Second thing, you mentioned door bumper clear, saying if 36 race playoffs, forget about it. It's not going to happen. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I agree. It's here's what stunted, I think, the playoff argument for a long time is because for so long it was, we are not compromising. We want a 36 race points format. The fans, we hate the playoffs. That's not going to happen. And we've grown past that. I want it back too, but it's just not realistic. And so now we finally gotten to the point where the fans are willing to compromise with whatever Dom's bosses want to argue for. And look at this, we're getting a new playoff format allegedly. So and
let's go into that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's go into that. So basically, from the Holler Talk podcast led by Mike Ford, they discussed the potential of reformatting what the playoffs look like. Obviously, the list of tracks that are going to be in that 10-race stint have already been announced. However, remember, Ben Kennedy, when the schedule was announced, said take those races and the rounds with a grain of salt because things could change. And the potential change is we have one round of 3 races, another round of 3 races, and a final round of 4 races. So it's not a 1-race championship. It's a 4-race kind of dash to the end. Now, how that breaks up with which drivers get eliminated or don't and how many, that's yet to be determined. We don't know. According to Mike Ford on the podcast, they are likely going to meet about this. The playoff committee is going to meet about this next week and make some decisions, or at least discuss the idea to try to finalize something. Yeah. According to Jeff Gluck, because he is on the playoff committee, if I can find Jeff's tweet because I saw it and maybe he deleted it. I don't know. Let me try to find this. But Jeff in the playoff committee has been very vocal about, informing the fans what's going on. He says that I'm on the playoff committee and don't know this was so definitive because apparently NASCAR Reddit was like, there's going to be a change and it's finite. Yeah. But Jeff Gluck reiterated there is a meeting next week, but this post makes it sound like it's already decided. That's not what Mike Ford said on the show. So still things to be decided. But how do we feel about that?
Well, and to clarify, I think Ford, he said that we have a small grouping now of ideas.
Yes.
And we're going to narrow that down even further in this next meeting. I think that was the general consensus. But
and if I can interject real quick, the 334 conversation this week, came from Jordan Bianchi on Door Bumper Clear, where he kind of posed a question to Austin Cindric saying, hypothetically, we all know Jordan Bianchi knows a lot more than he's saying. So when he poses those hypotheticals, there's some weight behind it. So I just wanted to clarify that's where that came from. Buddy, go ahead.
So I, for one, my playoff pitch, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, was top 10 in points plus anybody who wins a race. But the catch is, if you're top 10 in points, you get playoff points. If you're not in the top 10 in points, you don't get playoff points. And we narrow it down to, 8 at the cutoff. Sorry, I was told to read the comments. Anyway, and yeah, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, you guys heard it in the chat. 3-3-4. I like the idea. I think it is a balance that we've been lacking, and depending on how they go about this, like I said, I wish they would I'm fine with winning you're in, but I feel like there should be a penalty if you're not at a certain level. Like I was saying, like you're not top 10 points, you don't get playoff points. You could be in the playoffs, but you got to fight your way through those rounds the hard way. Whereas if you're in the top 10, you've earned that right. You've earned the right to have a little advantage, and those guys winning you're in. You don't get a 150 point gimme because you win one race at Nashville and 5 overtimes.
Wow, direct shade.
And walk your way to another championship.
Exactly. Dale Jr. had an awesome rebuttal to that.
Now, the other point to think about as well, before I want to read some of the comments, is if we are keeping the races where they are on the schedule next year. If we do this 4-race final round, Talladega is in that. I do not love that Talladega could be something that decides a championship. And I kind of hate that we didn't come up with a new format before we figured out where the schedule is going to be next year, or like how the races are going to play out. So don't love that. But it's something we're going to have to deal with for forward progress. I will also be very honest as well. I started watching NASCAR when the playoffs were here, 2016. So I don't know NASCAR as a fan without the playoffs. I do know through watching old races and stuff what it's like without it, but like I've lived the playoff era. And as somebody who admittedly has a very short attention span, and as somebody who likes to have some extra drama, I like the format that we have. However, I wish we would go back to kind of more of the original chase where you just have the 10 drivers. I don't really know if I love eliminations yet, but I hate when you're in. But there is a middle ground we can reach here. I want to read your comments real quick just to make sure we get to some of them. The playoffs have hurt because fans of drivers who did not make it will not watch, and that's fair too. But if you think about this as well, as we get to the end of the season and your driver is like minus 100 in points, they're not going to make that up. So you might stop watching anyways, right? So that's another thought process to have. But I do understand that because coverage of all drivers pretty much ceases once we get to Darlington, right? However, to counter that, and Dom, maybe, bringing this up too, like John Hunter Nemechek has been a talking point because he's performed so well these past 2 races. He's been in the conversation. And I think the broadcast has actually done a decent job talking about other storylines outside of the 16 drivers. Do you agree?
So this past race, I didn't watched it, but wasn't listening to it. But they're pretty locked in. They have to talk about the playoff story, and they have to keep the fans updated of where the playoff guys sit. But I mean, you've got 300 miles of race coverage ahead of you. You can find time to talk about a John Hunter Nemechek that's got a top 10 run going, and these guys that aren't in the playoffs but are saying the season's not over and there is still a paycheck on the line that gets better with every position gained. And that is just more money in the budget for next year. Yeah. So I would say they probably do a good job. Again, I'm not the one to comment because I didn't listen this weekend, but I mean, they're forced, the hand is forced to talk on the playoff guys because that is the story at hand. But we're also in a business where we've got 3.5 hours of filler time while there's a race going on. And
we have a true professional like Lee Diffie in the booth who covers other motorsports that don't have dumb playoffs. And so he's probably used to talking about whoever's at the front, not necessarily who's got a yellow spoiler. So
that's fair too. And the other point as well, Matthew Brown, thank you for the super chat here. The mistake NASCAR made here was thinking they could make NASCAR, well, let me reread that. Their mistake was thinking they could make NASCAR like the NFL when they're finding out that racing can't be decided by stick and ball sport rules. And that's a thing too.
Boom.
Right there, case in point. And again, there is a balance. You have to find a balance, and finding that balance is going to take time. Do I love it's taken this much time to finally listen to the fans? Don't love that, but something is being done. It's not going to be perfect. Now, you've heard drivers like Austin Cindric who doesn't mind the playoff format. Admittedly, too, it kind of benefits him as well. So it's kind of like case in point.
Yeah.
But I agree. And then Logan brings up a good point here, too. basically saying even with a 4-race format, you could still have someone clinch before the end. But that's the thing. Do you want somebody to clinch before the end of the season? Because that's possible any given year if you're not doing a 1-race championship. Or do we want to decide it in 1 race? Whoever has the best car at Phoenix wins it of the Final 4. Do we want that or not? Because you can't have both. You cannot have both.
Look, here's the thing. We've developed this car. They call it the next gen. I call it something else. I can't say those words on here. That say what you want about the car, produces parity. And I have a hard time believing. Look at the regular seasons we've had since we've introduced the next gen car. Like it's going to be hard for us to have a champion clinch. And if they do, they've earned it.
Agreed.
I mean, look at how, with the current points format, Connor Zilic still had to start Daytona to be in contention for the regular season title.
Yeah. NASCAR's competitive. Crazy
NASCAR's competitive.
Who would have thought?
But even too, like,
got that Gordon boy out of the 24 now.
That's right.
I mean, you even see like the Cup Series regular season championship was, I mean, it was decided when Chase Elliott DNF'd like 2 races before the season finale or the regular season finale. But even then, it was a pretty close battle. Like, and that to me was compelling. But because the competition's so close now, it almost lends itself to having a full season format, which again, it's not going to exist ever in the future, most likely, but it could lead itself to a full 10 race playoff format. We just go back to the original chase, like with how close the competition is. Why not? But let's move on. Let's talk about some different things here. We'll go back to NASCAR news. Obviously, we're going to talk about Bristol because there's a lot to preview there, but I really quickly wanted to highlight the F1 race this past weekend, the Italian Grand Prix, Monza, and I guess team orders. Right. This is the big talking point from this past weekend.
Thank goodness this show was not around when Schumacher was winning.
Yeah. It is a tale as old as time in Formula One. You know that there is a number 1 driver and a number 2 driver. And even then, it doesn't matter sometimes. It's just whatever the team principal says, whatever happens. Team orders, it's not new. So I don't really want to lend this conversation to do we like team orders or not, because I think a majority of us will say no, and it's not an interesting talking point. What I want to talk about for those who ended up watching the race, and if you didn't, like, I'm curious to hear your thoughts as you're hearing us discuss this, is basically McLaren. There was a decision to give another driver a position. Lando Norris suffered a slow pit stop due to a wheel fitting issue that dropped him behind his teammate, Oscar Piastri.
The 5.9 second stop.
The 5.9 second stop. And basically, McLaren made the decision to order Piastri to hand second place to Lando Norris. Basically to right their mistake, which feels very freaking odd. Dom, I don't know what your thought was about it, but when I watched, I was like, this is nuts.
Context. Last year, Oscar Piastri and Lando at Hungary. Let me make sure I get this correct. Yeah. So it was Lando versus Oscar. Oscar had the better car, but through strategy, Lando got the lead through the pits. But because Oscar got the lead on the first lap, and this is the universal rule for all the teams, whoever's the lead car, especially if you're on a front row lockout, starting 1-2, whoever gets the lead into turn 1 and leads the first lap, they get the priority strategy. And basically, you're the leader, the race is in your hands, and should you fall out, we got the guy behind you. So Oscar got the lead, but through the pits, Lando got the lead and was running away from Oscar. But because Oscar had the priority strategy, they told him, switch the cars because Oscar deserves the win. He put himself in the position. We just had a mix up in the pits, but Oscar should be the leader. Lando waited until the last lap to do it. He did not want to do it, but the team pays the bills. The Constructors' Championship pays the bills for the teams, not the Drivers' Championship. They fight for the Constructors. And so they let Oscar through, and Oscar won that race. Fast forward to Monza, and it is Lando out front. But he has a really bad pit stop for F1 standards. Oscar's was about a 2-second stop, 2.1, whatever. Lando's was a 5.9 second stop because they couldn't get the tire.
Alex Bowman wishes.
I know, right?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Hendrick's like, a 5.9?
Whoa!
Anyway. And so they told Oscar, hey, team orders, we need you to swap the cars. It's Lando's got the priority. We need to switch. And he, sure enough, did. And Oscar had been vocal beforehand saying, I will do whatever the team asks me to do because I want to be a team player. But we're also talking about two guys fighting for the world championship. And I mean, there is a documentary, if anyone's just a fan of racing, the Silver War on YouTube, which is Lewis Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg, where it shows how when you give two guys on your team, not just one, two guys, the best car, it can turn nuclear really quick. But it's crazy because now Pandora's box is opened, because what if they go into Abu Dhabi equal on points and Oscar has a 15-second lead on Lando, but Lando has a crazy good pit stop and Oscar doesn't, and Lando's got the lead. Where do we go from here?
It's open to gray area.
Do they have the same pit crew?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Well,
I can't be.
But so I will say though, it could be so much worse. It really could.
It could
be. To give an example, and I mentioned Schumacher, he was going to win the world title. I believe this is either 02 or 03. It wasn't even questioned. He was going to be the world champion. No one was going to beat him. He had the best car. And we're a few races in, and his teammate is in the lead. And with 2 turns to go, they told the teammate, let Michael through for the championship points. And he had to give Michael the win in the last turn. And I think Michael was already ahead by maybe 3 races worth of points.
Yeah.
So it could be so much worse.
And somebody, who was it? I found the comment. Oh, yeah. Ravaging Wolverine. Speaking of ways to turn off viewers, I mean,
Yeah.
There's team orders and things like that. Like, why watch? You know what I mean?
I
It's
mean,
manufactured.
look, Formula One fans are a different breed, whether in their right mind or not, I don't know. But our boy Matt Brown down here brings up a great point. Super chat. If someone clinches a championship for the end, boohoo, Formula One has had the same format society. So apparently they like whatever Formula One's doing.
Because it works. It rewards a legitimate championship.
For some reason.
Yeah. Well,
team orders, all this, like, I mean.
But at the end,
2023,
they're creeping in on NASCAR. I mean, who are we to argue?
Yeah, not long ago, 2023, Max Verstappen lost maybe 3 races the whole season. Won everything else.
Bum activity.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matthew Brown, Canes fan. Go Canes. We're going to win the cup again one day.
And Dom, I mean, you could probably speak to this too. And same, buddy, like when we had a full season format for NASCAR, like you might have some seasons that were absolute duds because like there was one guy that just was clearly going to run away with it halfway through the season. Maybe not, depending on what season you talk about. But like same thing with, Formula One. They have a full season format, but like you said, like 2023, it was Max's, and they wasn't even Max's to lose. It was Max's championship period, just based off of performance there. This year, it is a little bit interesting. Like I think I watched this past weekend, I watched my first Formula One race in a long time. And I was like, okay, like actually some interesting stuff. The products still don't love, but like it was actually, I was paying attention, I should say. But
the first reaction was like, wait, the red ones are supposed to win?
I mean, yeah.
Hate to bring it to you.
Well, and
just sitting in my room sobbing.
And to kind of like, the full season format, Formula One's a great example of this. when Max, dominates, Lewis dominates, Michael dominates, whoever, goes out there and just mollywops everyone.
Mhm.
It forces you to put importance on every single race as a viewer, because yes, the championship's happening and you're like, all right, good for that person. At the end of the year, we're going to celebrate them. But this race is happening right now in front of my face.
Well,
every race matters.
Here's the other thing too, and this is something interesting to talk about as well. You don't really have to explain any championship format, whatever, to a Formula One fan. They can just join and watch and understand what's happening and understand the picture. They don't have to worry about eliminations or playoff points versus driver points or whatever. They can just watch and learn and take it in. It's easier to digest.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and then when you talk about like NASCAR, trying to explain it to somebody new who just wants to get involved, they're going to get lost in the sauce. It's hard to understand now that we're in the playoffs what actually is happening. If, a driver did really well, but how are they still eliminated from the playoffs? Because they finished third in this race. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you have to explain it more, and it's harder for people to latch onto it because it's so complicated. You said, oh yeah, this comment right here.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example of when team orders is denied by the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
That is Mark Webber was the leader. Sebastian Vettel was second, and these are two Red Bull cars, and it was told to Sebastian, hold position, basically. Webber's going to win. You're going to finish second. It's good for both. We're both doing really well in the points, and Mark has the preferred strategy. Let's give him the win. Vettel was just seeing red because he's competitive and said, well, I know for a fact I'm faster, and went after Webber, passed him, ignored the multiple team order requests. The number one, multi 21 is the name of the team order. Car 2, which was Webber, should win. Car 1 will fall behind. Multi 21. And they kept repeating that, quoting Christian Horner, this is silly, Seb, as he's battling him for the win. Seb takes the lead, pulls away. And yeah, that was a very uncomfortable cool down room.
Yeah, here's the thing. The cool down room. Can I just say this weekend, because of how the podium happened, that was so awkward. I felt for Max Verstappen just in the middle of there as the winner. Just, you guys saw the picture of him just like leaning back in his chair.
We need those.
Press
conference.
Look,
yeah.
Look, if anything we can take from Formula One, we need that. We need that.
Can you imagine the championship at Phoenix in a room after the race? Just like digesting.
Yeah, and they're behind glass and we all get to watch.
Make it public.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's
and
like
all
behind
have to be mic'd up.
Yeah, it's like what they do with like interrogations where you can see them but they can't see you, but they're in the media center and all the media members to see them.
Hot. Take notes, NASCAR. I guess this is something we can maybe do. Who knows? Anywho, before we move on to talk about Bristol, because we definitely want to make sure we preview that, some interesting with the tires, stuff like that. Gotta give a shout out to NASCAR.shop. Of course, NASCAR.shop is the only place you all should get. Thank you. Thank you. It wasn't creative, but we got there. NASCAR.shop, of course, is the only place you should be getting your NASCAR trading cards. They do bi-weekly breaks. They sell sealed boxes, super valuable cards, $5 cards. If you use the promo code ATYL, you get 15% off your first card purchase. I literally take part in every one of their breaks. I just got my new cards, which actually I made a post about, earlier this week, last week. Really excited about it. I got a Carl Edwards signed one and I was super excited. So make sure to get your trading cards from NASCAR.shop. And then, of course, Benzik Designs for all of your diecast stand needs. If you've seen my background, you know that it is riddled with all these fantastic 3D printed stands from Matt Benzik. Make sure to get yours. Again, scan the QR codes on the screens for both of these amazing companies. And then, of course, link on our website as well, abovethelowline.com. But if you use the promo code ATYL2025 for Benzik Designs, you get 20% off your stands. I just got 3 more, and I've replaced some of my old stands that I had from a different vendor with my Benzik ones right next to me, and everything looks gorgeous. I have like my Kevin Harvick shelf type thing here, buddy, kind of an homage to your shelf that I do.
A guy has bad takes.
Yeah. All that. So, anyhow, support these people, please. And just their amazing products that they have. But moving on to Bristol, the night race on a Saturday. Depending on who you ask, that could be awesome or not. But let's talk about, I guess, talking point number one. Hendrick Motorsports yesterday, from their pit crew roster, basically shared and or transitioned some pit crew members over to the 77 pit crew members over to the 48. So this weekend, Alex Bowman will have a different pit crew. Almost all of the crew members have been swapped. Bozy actually made a tweet about this, ranking the performance of the Hendrick Motorsports trained pit crew members across Fire Motorsports and Hendrick Motorsports. And Alex Bowman's team was second worst on that list. The top of that list was Carson Hocevar's crew. Alex Bowman right now is 35 points outside of the playoff picture to make it to the next round. And so, that said, making the swap seems like a pretty reasonable move. Dom, do you agree, or do you think this is risky?
No, 100%. No, I mean, it's playoff time now. We saw Chad Knaus do this in the middle of a race to win a championship. You got to do whatever it takes to keep yourself competitive.
Mhm.
And to have that luxury of being able to promote guys up, demote guys down.
Mhm.
There's a lot of teams that who you have is who you have. So 100, you have to do whatever you can to win a championship. And that goes for all 4 Hendrick cars. They all have to be equally competitive to go win the title. There's a reason why Rick enters 4 cars a year, and it's because he wants one of the 4 to win that title. And we have a format that offers the chance for all 4 to make the championship 4.
For now.
Yeah, for now, TBD. But I think it's a no-brainer, and the stats don't lie how good Carson Hocevar's crew have been.
Yep.
And these are also guys that probably back of their mind are like, they want to impress the Hendrick executives. They want to work for the 48 team. They want to work for the 24, the 9, the 5. They want to work for the big dogs. So this is your chance. Next man up. And we're in the playoffs, so you better not make mistakes.
Yeah, it's a chance to prove yourself. And you think about this too. I know like some of the guys that do some pit crewing for Penske also do some pit crewing or have done pit crewing for Front Row Motorsports. They kind of swap around some pit crew members there. I know Keith and France, who we had on the show a few months ago, actually was on the 38 team to begin with. And then he was swapped over to Ryan Blaney's 12 car this year, mid-season. So swaps like this happen, especially mid-season. Having a full crew swap mid-season that lasts, not totally common, but it does happen. But yeah, no, 40-second pit stops do not cut it. Abysmal, crazy miscommunication there.
They just wanted to match the car number.
They were so close. They were so close. So there was that. I do want to divert for a second before we finish off our conversation on the rest of Bristol. Buddy, totally forgot Cars Tour.
I mean, this could have waited until after Bristol, but I mean, okay, all right, fine. I'll
go for it. Go for it.
All right. I was just, we could.
We'll revisit Bristol after this, but I want to make sure we ended with Bristol. So Cars Tour, we got to go.
All right. Anyway, during the Bristol night race, the Cars Tour will be at South Boston. They have 3 races to go in their season. It was just announced is championships 1 point. Full season championship. It's 1 point. Landon Lewis has Connor Hall by 1 point. 1 point. That's one.
So good.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah. And just came out today, Connor Hall will not be returning to Junior Motorsports in the Cars Tour. He's seeking opportunities in the Truck Series. So, we wish Connor all the best, but this is important for Connor Hall to win this championship. So he's going to be on kill. He won the South Boston 200 this year. So definitely tune in to Flow Racing and pay attention to that. Either way, this is Saturday night. It's going to be a great race. South Boston's one of the greatest short tracks in the country. So definitely tune in.
Did you say this is the finale?
No, 3 races to go.
Okay, 3 to go.
There's South Boston. Then there's Tri-County, where Dale Jr. will be back. Dale Jr., by the way. And North Wilkesboro.
Do you guys know that he retweets Buddy's tweets?
He does.
Did you even know that?
Not Taylor's, mine.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that.
But anyway, a lot of storylines coming out of the Cars Tour. And if you've been paying attention to the pipeline of NASCAR, a lot of them have been coming out of the Cars Tour. So it's time you pay attention and watch on tour. I host a little show right here on ATYL Media. Called On Tour.
I have to be honest. I saw the opening clip of you walking along the fence line
Yeah.
I was like, this dude has so much more swag than everyone on this staff.
But he's
combined.
Dude, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I
How
had some
does he
help.
do it?
I had some help. James Pike, he was like, he's like, dude, I'm gonna film this for you, but check this out. Here's an idea.
No wonder Dale Jr. wants to hang out with you.
I mean, yeah, dude. Yeah, it's it's hard being me. I got all these people, y'all are just privileged to have me here.
We really are, though.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
Man.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah.
Buddy's now like really good friends with Dale Jr. They talk all the time. He retweets his tweets.
Yeah, I think he's in the chat. Yeah.
Also, shout out to James Pike. What a legend.
Shout out to James Pike. Shout out to a couple people in the chat too. I guess staring back to Bristol. I saw a really fun Ask ATYL from who was it?
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah. Well, there was one before that, but yeah, SVG is gonna win. Easy money.
Right.
He's gonna. What did Larson lead? How many laps did Larson lead?
462 last year.
Rookie numbers. Rookie numbers. And then there's one, is Reddick's down year because of his shaggy mullet hairstyle? Yes.
Yeah, it's always because of the mullet. Yeah.
It's always because of the mullet and the lawsuit, but mostly the mullet.
Well, because last year for Denny Hamlin, it was a down year because they had a dog, right? It's always like one minute thing. This year for Reddick, it's not even the lawsuit; it's the mullet. That's why.
Exactly.
So maybe he needs to. Maybe he needs to cut it.
Too much arrow drag.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Matt
go.
Beeson brings up a good point too.
We don't need to.
We don't need to publicize it, but
No.
I agree, Matt. I agree.
Just a friendly reminder: Joey has more championships than Bowman has wins the last 3 years.
Oh, that hurts. Depending on
but the same amount of legitimate championships.
He's got them in his trophy.
Also, yeah. Side note here. I know we're all over the place, you guys. I'm sorry, but I want to get your comments in here because I appreciate you guys commenting. Austin Cindric, doing some supercar racing later this year. That's really cool. We talked about it a little bit last week when they announced it, but
he came up through Trans Am, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, like
he came up through sports cars, not Trans Am.
Oh shoot, you're right. Sorry,
sports cars. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, this is cool. I just think it's cool because this opens the door for the opportunity. And I bet you this was him talking with SVG about what possibilities there were, and SVG just giving him the advice. I'm just going to ignore what Buddy did to himself.
Hey, he's bringing the cute little tortoiseshell glasses down under, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he does.
We're wearing our glasses in appreciation of Austin Cindric. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Dom, do you have glasses? 20/20 vision? No.
I'm unfortunately blessed with 20/20 vision.
He's got
okay.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It's okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's awesome.
Bristol's this weekend.
Yeah, Bristol.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Bristol. So, other talking points from this weekend is the tire. Denny Hamlin on his podcast and made a very interesting note about the tire, basically saying, quote, they have this machine, Goodyear does. Apparently, that's like sandpaper, so they slide this tire onto the machine, and there's a, hold on, I'm reading the quote and it doesn't make sense. Basically, the sand belt machine and it checks wear. And this tire basically just shredded in the machine. Just completely unraveled, craziness, etc. And considering how hot the temperatures are supposed to be this weekend for a night race, we could see some pretty interesting stuff. It's a softer tire compound, and they haven't actually really been able to test it because of the MLB event that happens this summer at Bristol that was like rained out and whatever crazy thing. But we haven't been able to test it properly like on the racetrack. It is a softer tire compound than what we had in 2024. So we could see something pretty wild. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And guys that are really good at managing their tires, managing their equipment. Denny Hamlin. Not saying Austin Dillon's going to win the race, but he's good at managing his tires. That's what he said made him so good at Richmond, from his words. You look at the veterans. Bristol is kind of more so Josh Berry. I mean, he has to win to get in it. I've hated how that playoffs have started for him. But you see these guys that are good at managing their tires. Some of them might be in pretty dire point situations, and you could see them do really well. But yeah, this is going to be interesting this weekend. Practice and qualifying, if you typically don't watch and you have access to watch it. It should be pretty exciting. I'm trying to get to more of your comments.
Here's a good question. Do you guys consider the night race a crown jewel? I advocate that it should be considered a crown jewel.
Look, I am of the opinion that less is more, and that Daytona, the Coke 600, and Darlington are the only crown jewels. We have other big races such as Indy and Bristol, but yeah, that is my opinion that you asked for.
That's a fair point. Well, no, that's a good point though.
Yeah. I think if we start considering more and more races crown jewels, it takes away the allure. Like Daytona 500, obviously, yes. Southern 500, obviously, yes. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess when I started watching it, I knew Bristol, the night race, as a crown jewel. I guess for me, well, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. I negated my own point. I'm like, a crown jewel in the playoffs, that's crazy. The Southern 500, Taylor, my God. But, I agree with Buddy in this take here. I think less is more. But this is ignorant of me, not even ignorant. I just don't know. So why, for Bristol, why do we not consider it a crown jewel race? What's the T there?
I think because the 500 started in 59, the Southern 500 was in the 50s. I think just because of the tenure of it, of how long they've been around, how big of a promotional event it was. Because the first night race at Bristol was 1978.
Yeah.
So,
and two, the 6 Daytona is obviously Daytona. It's the Mecca. It was kind of NASCAR's answer to Indy.
Right.
Darlington was the first super speedway for NASCAR in a sense, back when super speedways were anything other than a short track. And then the Coca-Cola 600 with NASCAR's other answer to Indy, because you have to have two, because it is the greatest spectacle in racing. Obviously they're going to make it longer. They're going to put it on the same day. So, but I mean, yeah.
I was going to say Brickyard's pretty self-explanatory, just because that was NASCAR finally getting the opportunity to race on hallowed ground. Yeah, it sold itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my thing was like, I guess the argument against it is like, is it just because there's too many? Is it a timing thing? Is it the tenure of the race? Because I guess that's the part I never really understood. But go for it.
I think I think when it really started coming into its own as the crown jewel consideration was when they made it into the Coliseum, where there's fans all around, and that place was selling out every year, and people were putting their Bristol night race tickets in their will. And so I think that's why. I think it's just, it hasn't been as around as long as everything else. And
well, and you see too, it's a crown jewel of short track racing. Like, does, maybe one crown jewel has to be a short track, should be a short track,
Mm-hmm.
But it is crown jewel or not, it's a special usually race for sure. 2 other comments I want to get to real quick, both from NASCAR Dude. The question for the playoffs is, how does NASCAR retain a good amount of viewership when they know they are not going to win the war or win over football starting up again? And this has been a talking point that's been years and years and years. And I know we talked about it earlier, and I this is a comment I accidentally skipped over because I forgot to come back to it. But going into Bristol, going into the rest of the playoffs, how do you compete? And then for me, the answer is make the product better. And then here's the other thing I think about too. NASCAR has upped their social media game. They have. And we talked about it over and over and over on this channel, how they're doing such a better job of making really interesting, engaging, cool, exciting content, how they are incentivizing the drivers through this program that the drivers have to be out in the media and, do all this stuff to promote the sport. My question is, how much of that is actually reaching a larger audience? And I don't know if it's just the content that's being made is just reaching NASCAR's core audience, if that's the idea. But I guess, how do you create excitement at this point to draw people in? Or does it even matter? You've had NASCAR since February. Football's back after a long stretch of not, and everyone misses football. I miss watching football and eating chili on a Saturday night. That feels like home to me, watching the Buckeyes. You know what I mean?
That's Ohio for you.
It's Ohio. You eat chili, you watch the Buckeyes. It's a vibe, right? And not love racing, not the same vibe though, but something to ponder, because it's this has been an issue for years. This is not new, but we talk about
Look,
it every year.
we rivaled the NFL at one point in our lives. I'm just saying.
Fair. This is
So
fair.
we, make the fans. The fans are already making a choice. Make it harder for them.
Yeah. It's NASCAR needs to come up with their answer to it, but viewers also already kind of have their minds made up regardless of. They have their priorities already in mind. If somebody has their mind set on something, it is very hard to change it as well. We talked about the tire. TM brought up, do we think the new tire kind of affects the racing at all? I don't think we're going to truly know until we have practice in qualifying. Even then, practice and qualifying is not during the time of the race, so we're not going to get a whole lot of great info there. So this could be pretty fun or pretty detrimental. Who knows? So stay tuned for that. And I guess any other points, gentlemen, that we have not discussed that you feel needs to be discussed as we wrap things up here?
I'd be surprised if we got another dominant victory. I feel like we might get a little bit more battles for the lead.
Yeah.
Get ready to be flabbergasted.
SVG wins at Bristol. Moves on to the round of 12.
The breakfast baconator paint scheme.
It looks good.
Fire.
It looks good.
I had a baconator before I got on here today.
Heck yeah.
It's the superstition.
Exactly. Hey, SVG's the tire wizard in Australia, so why not? Why not? That's some dude. That's some dude's got some good takes. Anyway,
honestly, yeah. Shout out to you.
You're not just some dude to us.
No, you have you have really good takes. Really good. All of you did honestly tonight.
77. Yeah. If that's Carson Hocevar.
It's just Carson Hocevar behind the screen. And
I think, this Dolbowski guy brings up a good point too. It'd be a crown jewel in dirt for sure.
I have brought this up so many times. I liked Bristol dirt. The first year, no. But I do not think it should be a points race. But then, yet again, when are we going to find more time on the schedule to make like another exhibition race where there is no time?
No, I thought
it was fun.
Points race. You want to be the greatest drivers in the world? Prove it. That added prestige to the Bristol night race because it was the Bristol race. Sorry, baby wants to be held. Baby's getting held.
That's okay. It's okay. Respect it.
But yeah.
Priorities.
Now, do we have... Your mom's in the chat.
My mom is in the chat.
Hi, Sarah. So, I guess, do we want to share winning predictions for the Cup Series as we go into this race before we close things out? Because could we see Toyota domination continue? Will we see them sweep the first round? Dom, do you think yes? No?
I just don't think they've been good at the short tracks this year.
Besides Denny.
Well, yeah.
That's a given.
I don't see Denny going back to back. I mean, you go ahead. Go ahead, buddy.
I learned a long time ago. You can ask all the questions you want, but that's why we run the race.
Yeah.
I'm out of the picking game. SVG.
I'm out of the picking game, but SVG.
Give me SVG.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting. I don't think there's a runaway.
I don't think it's going to be a Gibbs car. I could see Reddick maybe, but I'm pretty convinced it won't be a Toyota.
Well,
it's probably going to be. I could see Byron, Larson. Joey could mess around and win this race.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm literally saying that as he would bring a good car to Bristol for no reason at all and win Bristol and then just be average the rest of the playoffs. It's just something that Penske seems to do. Blaney, maybe, but...
Go ahead, man. You've named half the field. Go ahead. Name the other half.
Well... Here's the thought, too. Going into Bristol, Hendrick Motorsports has something to prove. Where's the speed been? Obviously, last weekend at Gateway, promising signs, seeing Kyle Larson actually be quick again. I think for those who are concerned, Kyle Larson had media time today, and he said that he feels a lot better with where things are heading, that they had promising speed last weekend. So we could see Hendrick kind of rebound here. I think obviously you can never count out the Joe Gibbs Racing team at this track. I do not think Tyler Reddick's going to win it. Watch him win it. But he's just driver error, everything the past few weeks. It's been a very off year for Tyler Reddick, as we talked about earlier. But I think with it being a night race, cutoff race, tire issues, it's going to be interesting. So make sure you watch, again, Saturday night racing. But thank you all so much for tuning in to watch this show today. Good to have you all in the chat. Thank you all for leaving your comments. Loved reading them and loved talking about them. Of course, go to AboveTheYellowLine.com. Oh my. Go to AboveTheYellowLine.com to learn more about our content, find all of our social handles and things like that. Of course, we want to thank all of our incredible partners, On Brand, Bizic Designs, NASCAR.shop, Go Lucker Racing, and The Bright Mentality. Without them, we would not be able to do what we do. Of course, as you look in the description of this video, you can find the links to all of these places and all the promo codes to get some sweet deals on their products, etc. But it's been so good to talk to you all, and hopefully you have a great weekend. And hopefully we get a good Bristol race. And then, of course, following that race, we will have the episode of Above the Yellow Line talking about it all, previewing the next round of the playoffs. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And